Hello, everybody. Wow, it's Harper making good on my threat. It's a Type 0 themed Lufenia. We have a couple characters here that you've maybe not seen before. This is Cater. She is a gun user. She has an Ultima weapon gun. This is Ace with his Burst Plus. And we have Queen, who also has an Ultima weapon, because at the time of this event, I'm showing this a bit later, Queen and Cater had just reached level 90, which not every character has been able to. I'm looking for like support characters that might be in with our theme, like a Machina or someone like that. And we do not have any good options, so that's a bit of a bummer. Instead, I grab Lon and Rhine from World of Final Fantasy, even though, first off, we're not going to really need them. This is a notoriously easy Lufenia, and then also, I don't know, I grab them just because they're bursty, just in case. Like, Desperation button, hit the Gremlin button. Gremlins can help us out. So what's the deal? These enemies have that orb. If that orb reaches 0, remember, we all die. And the big thing here is that I need to dodge an attack of theirs and like counterattack, and then the orb will go up. Pretty easy because Cater has an ability that will do that. We'll go over each character as we go from there. Queen is really good with a group because she is what we call an aura bot, which means that she creates a lot of auras. Divine Judgment right there even gave us a buff which gives us, I believe, like 40% damage increase, 20% HP damage increase. It's pretty good. We're doing some of the usual stuff that you might have expected to see by now. Bringing in Ferris for debuffs, but now we're doing Frost, Chilling Shot. But first off, Triple Slip, this is our thing that will handle the orb. When we get attacked, we'll dodge, we'll counterattack. Frost, Stilling Shot. This applies something called Frost. I hovered over it earlier if you want to go back and really look at the full details. Frost is a kind of unique skill, a debuff really, that not many characters have access to, but look at that. That enemy just did 0 damage. Why is that? Well, Frost is this fancy little thing that freezes the enemy's Brave gain, which means that if they're at 0, they're not getting any more Brave. And remember, you need to gain Brave and then spend it in order to do damage. So if they are perpetually at 0, then when it comes time for them to attack, they're going to do 0 damage. It's an amazing skill. It means that Cater even has a call ability that you summon in for like a single turn if you time it very properly in certain fights. A very valuable ability to have. And then of course we have Ace and his signature ability, which is to toss out those blind studs, right? His whole thing is that he will attack the enemy with a little something called what's the technical term? I always forget. I think it's whole card. And once that debuff triggers, it'll start doing all this blind stud damage anytime action takes place, which is what we call off-turn damage, which means that he's just doing damage just by standing there because he already hit people with a debuff. So we have a debuff that's stopping the enemy from doing any real sort of damage. We have a character who can do a fair amount of damage herself, and I've not showed off everything she can do. And we have Ace, who is just sort of putting everything on the party, and the enemy party rather, I should say, and doing a lot of damage to them. So what are we gonna do? We're just gonna use some free skills, I think, right? We could. You don't want to use too many debuffs because you might risk overriding stuff, and I want to make sure, because I have Gabranth there, and if I call him in, he can debuff the enemy even further with like defense down and things like that, but I would rather freeze the enemy, and to do that I need to make sure that there's enough debuff slots. You don't have so many debuffs on enemies to go from there. And now we're just sort of, I don't want to say it's smooth sailing to the end, but it's pretty close. Queen buffs, Ace does a lot of damage over time, Cater fulfills the orb, and because the enemies are frozen like that, thanks to her skill, not doing a lot of damage. So it's pretty good. This is like, we talk about sometimes where there are Lufenia situations where having the latest characters matter a lot. Kater wasn't like a new character. She had just reached level 90. She might have also just gotten her LD, which is the weapon that allows her to use that frost skill. But you don't have to use these characters. But I was like, well, I really want to do a Type 0 themed run, and it turns out that the characters in place are brilliant. This is Ace's Burst Plus, which means that we just get to use the big finishing move. We're going to get a couple of buffs off of this. Well, one big buff that has a bunch of tiny little buffs in it. It's a status called Crimson Camped. It's going to increase our attack up by 50, our brave, like the amount that we can hold, by 30%. It's going to increase our HP damage up by like 20. It's a lot. And then once the effect finishes, it'll do an extra attack. When will that extra attack show up? We'll see. Ultima Weapon users also get more potent EX abilities. It's a way to bring EX abilities, which were like limit breaks, back into the focus a little, since they've been kind of supplanted by like extra special attacks and things like that, by like bursts and even limited weapon type stuff. But now we get to Queen's other thing, which is Resetsu Arousal. She just goes into straight bloodlust mode. It's pretty interesting. So she goes down to 1 HP. We either I will have posted or have already posted a thing showing off the character Arden from FF15, who has a similar situation where he reduces his HP to 0. Arden, in that state, he can't get KO'd, or at least he resists a KO once. Here, with this arousal state, wow, what a thing to say. Queen is able to do a ton of damage, like a ton. And so she slowly recovers damage. When she's in this state, she can't get knocked out, and she'll only get out of this state once she recovers up to, gets back up to half health, 50%. The catch here is that when she's in this state, a lot of her other abilities go away. So I can't like reapply that cool judgment buff or anything. Instead, I have to use either one of two abilities, which is Devastate, which is the one that I most have been using. And I should also be using, but I guess I'm not. It's called Balestra Lunge? I'm bad at pronouncing things for once, and I am a writer. It's a free turn ability, does a lot of good stuff. Now we're using Ace's Full Burst because look, these enemies are mad weak. This is a meme, like literally for people who play this game, this is a Lufenia Plus that people are like, why is this a like plus? Because remember, Lufenia Plus is supposed to be the toughest things for all the badass hombres, but I just was casually doing some normal Lufenia missions that were trickier than this. And I think the answer is like every now and then, sometimes you just have what you need and you can get it done. Also, these, for whatever reason, just randomly, like for whatever the hell reason, these enemies are really squishy. I don't know why that is. I don't really have a good answer for it. I think we are going to get our bonus attack from the first time we used Ace's burst ability. Yeah, there it is. We are right here. This is what happens when his burst effect ends. And we're about to reapply that burst effect right now, literally with this attack. Isn't that amazing? If this doesn't kill the enemy, like the next turn should. But I'm pretty sure they're dead. Yeah, but we had some cool gimmicks in there. I got to show off Queen, who I think is an interesting character. Any character that sacrifices HP and goes into various different states can be really fun in this game. The whole aspect of like, oh no, she took some damage there, but it's like not that much because we froze some things. And then also I think we get another attack from C, which is like, oh no, this guy's gonna punch, but he's still frozen. 0 damage, right? I like Kater a lot. All the gun stuff she does, all the counter stuff she does. Her EX lays down landmines, so we're doing like all this damage off turn. It's ridiculous. I know this, I don't want this to become a Dissidia channel. I want to post more fighting stuff. I'm going to get more chapters of Skies of Arcadia out. I say finally. I'm actually writing more tonight. But it's been good to create stuff. It's been nice to talk into a microphone with energy. Anything you do on the internet is performance, a little, but finding the energy within myself to create even dumb videos about a fucking mobile game is like, I'll deal with it. These are all the characters from Final Fantasy Type 0. There's a lot of variety in these characters, which is kind of nice. 7 has a whip, which is really cool. Trey is an archer. He has a lot of trap abilities. 8 has a lot of things where he dodges and counterattacks. Trap abilities are things that get triggered when an enemy acts, by the way. Sank has a big hammer. King has guns. Nobody really uses King. Jack has debuffs. This is Machina. You've seen him before if you've watched the channel. Big damage. Big damage. And that's a costume for when he's a Lassie. You should play the game. It's a fun game. Type 0. But otherwise, I will see you all around. Goodbye. That was a fun one.